Hello. The video of today is about a topic, one of the categorized five uh, wounds that we know during our life journey, and then there are kind of five big groups in which we all fall into with more intensity on less or less on in one or the other one. And like all the categories, of course, is a limiting simplification, but it can be useful to recognize some inner mechanism when it plays out. One of these five wounds is the wound of abandonment, and I wanted to talk about it because I think that often, especially for women, some behavior that come from that fear of abandonment, it can be misinterpreted as capacity of understanding or compassion or embracing the other person. So that's why I felt maybe it can be useful to talk a little bit about it. It's not about the behavior that we decide to perform in relationship as much as if is the energy that lead that action. So the energy beyond the action, to be able to recognize if this capacity to understand the other one and don't get reactive is coming from a place within of real connection to the essence of the other being and to our own capacity to love and be compassionate, or is coming from a part of us which is very afraid of the possibility of a separation, of a distance with another person. The fear of abandonment, it plays out as this need to be assured that we are not left alone, and all the strategies that goes with this avoidance of that possibility. And for sure, one of the strategy is the becoming a sort of doormat, is not being able to say no, to set up boundaries, to don't stick with a behavior that we don't feel as it nourishing for ourselves. So since the feminine in men and women is this capacity of nurturance, of understanding, of compassion, of loving support to the other one, I just wanted to make the point that it's not so much about what we are acting out, but why we are acting out. So the fear of abandonment is the wounds of abandonment, is the source of that fear, and it's an experience that we had as a child of feeling not being assured in our need for love. So we all human beings come with some needs of being loved and cared for, but still we meet people that are where they are on the journey of reconnecting the love that they are, and that are themselves wounded and on the path of healing. So like in almost any case, I would say our basic need to be honored and understood and accepted as we are fully and loved in one word, as not met ideal condition. So there's no human being which has not a wound, many that bring inside, and from that, and that created a pain around which a belief of unworthiness has crystallized. And then to not feel that sensation of core, deep unworthiness which is not natural. Our natural essence is pure worthiness, but the interpretation that we made as child about this lack of love that we received from the people around us, the interpretation being the child the center of his own universe and considering the family as the representation of the whole world, and the parents especially as the ultimate source of love, the child interpret in order to survive to that lack of love, interpret as it needs to be my fault. It's a question of not being worthy, because about that there is something that it can do. While the recognition of an objective lack of love is something that will leave him or her even more powerless. Still, that belief of unworthiness start to create and be reconfirmed and start to be reconfirmed during our life experience over and over again, get reinforced, and it's so painful that we get in place strategy in order to not connect to that feeling. And one of the strategy could be this capacity of understanding that go over our capacity to protect ourselves, to honor our limits, and to take care of not expose ourselves to toxical behavior or so the fear of abandonment is based on the idea that the love that I need is outside of me, is in this being one of the time, on this thing, on this condition. So if that person leave, it will leave love itself from my life, and the sense of excitement and aliveness and joy of being alive that goes with it. So since this is the belief which is related to that extreme intense fear of separation, of being abandoned, the way out is to become aware of his existence beyond our own behavior, be able to recognize what's the energy beyond that yes said over and over, or that denial of emotion as frustration, as anger, in order to keep harmony with one another. What is important is not really what we do with the emotion when they rise up. So I'm not suggesting to start to fight with your partner. I'm suggesting to be real with what's going on inside of you, because in that authenticity you can then reconnect that fear for what it's really about, and that fear becomes the door of that deep sense of unworthiness, the need to be met in order to be healed, because it's based on a false premise. And today, with the consciousness that we are, with how much we understand about our real nature, our core essence, the essence of life itself, today we can meet that wounded part that believes she doesn't or he doesn't deserve love, and show to that part another truth. So if we are covering up with kindness and understanding and a false attitude of compassion or excessive empathy, in which I end up caring more of the need of another person, or the feeling or the emotion of another person, kind of skipping the attention to my own. If we cover up in that way, it's gonna be very hard to get to the healing process, and this is what we really want. And the belief that the love that I seek is so inevitably linked to that person enslave me because it's not the truth. But we need to go from concepts to experience, embodiment of this truth. It's not enough to try to substitute a belief with another one and repeat to ourselves intellectually that the love comes from within. We need to experience that the love for ourselves that we are so seeking is already available within. That love that we have placed in another being is something that we can reactivate and turn towards ourselves. And this is the freedom that we are really seeking. And how to love ourselves then? How to learn to love ourselves? Once I become aware that I need your love because I don't know otherwise how to reach love. If I can be honest like that, then how to step into the self-love? Well, first thing, the awareness of having that emotion going through me, that fear of lacking love, that neediness for love, that lack of an inner connection with the source of love, to bring the awareness there and just without judgment become the awareness of this. This is really what's going on. This is self-love. Hiding self-awareness is self-love. Even if I can find that judgment within me about this part which is so needy, it is believing in this lack, which is believing in this unworthiness. If I see it and then I judge it, then the step for self-love is loving or accepting the judgment that I have. Is loving what is real in the moment within. And from there I can start to offer, to extend somehow this love to the without, to the outside world, to another being. Otherwise what I call love, it's really need or is fear. And it's important to make the distinction. Hope that this helped a little bit, and yeah, this has been for sure one of my experience. I was so sure to be so able to be unconditionally loving while I was just terrified the idea of that source of love that I placed in someone would leave me one day. So this is why I am sharing, and I am really hoping that can help some of you out there. Have a beautiful evening and talk soon.